to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now I'll go ahead and call this meeting, February 11th, 2025, regular meeting of the Board of Moffat County Commissioners to order. And Chair will move to approve the agenda as presented today.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Chair will move to approve the consent agenda, items A through I.
Second.
Motion and a second. For discussion.
Mm-mm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. So we will begin with public comment. We do have a public hearing today, so if you've got any public comment outside of that, you're welcome to join us and state your name and comment anything you'd like. And if your comment is about the public hearing, we will accept that then. Good morning.
This is not about the public hearing. I'm Lois Wymore. I live at 1239 Legion Street. Jane and I have started a podcast production. We've done 14 episodes. We haven't advertised yet because we're waiting for our advertising, our swag. And it's because we're in a news desert. There's, especially for you guys, I would hate to be a public official without having the press there. And you don't have that anymore. And that leads to the public considering that there's a lot of spooky things going on and they don't trust you. And anyway, that's our mission is news, a little bit of information you're missing, and a whole lot of opinion from two old reporters that have lived here forever. So it's funny. It's called New West 2. And that's because we had a newspaper named New West. And this is the second time we've done it. Now, the real reason that I came up to say something was I had called Tony to ask him about something I'd seen on YouTube about Moffat and Rio Blanco County were looking into nuclear waste storage. And I said, how do I not know about this? Well, I called Tony and he didn't know anything. And then I called AG&C and a man by the name of Matt, and I'm sorry I didn't get his last name.
Solomon.
Anyway, he called me back and we had a really good conversation about it. And I did think that needed to be clarified. The story was on KUNCC or something out of the Eastern Slope. I don't know who all seen it. I wasn't thinking much about it until the next day I ran into somebody that asked me what I knew about it. So that's why I called you. But
Yep.
I do think from what I heard from him, they're at a place where they haven't even started the conversation. And how he explained it to me was the way Colorado state law is, we can't address nuclear until we address safety and storage with nuclear. And that's statute. And if we say our counties want to have that conversation, then the Federal Agency for Nuclear Energy pays for everything. Any research or any surveys or I don't remember who all was at the nuclear thing that they did about 3 years ago at the college. And that was the Nuclear Energy Commission. And it was so interesting. And there's so much we don't know that we probably need to get out of the mindset of what was it, the China syndrome? It's not all bad, and because we're in such a strange position with energy. We need, I think, as a county or counties or this corner of the state, we probably need to look at it all. So if that subject comes up, I would just encourage you to have the conversation. It's sure not going to hurt anything. You can always vote no. I mean, I don't think anybody's got enough information right now to even know if it's good or bad. But we know that solar and wind isn't going to carry everything,
Thank you.
so.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any public comment not related to the public hearing?
First, I'm sorry I didn't get to hear everything that she said, but I just want to address the fact that
You state your name,
that
just so we have it on the recording.
Oh.
State your name. Thank you.
I got ahead of myself. My name is Kathy Keel,
Thank you.
and I'm at 4217 East Victory Way. What I wanted, a point that I would like to make is also in the few weeks yet to come, that we will look at more than just what will be presented at this time to us, and that we will take that into consideration, that there are other things out there that will benefit our county as well. And I just think that we should give this new administration a chance to show what they have in mind for us. And I do know that they have a lot of things in plan, and the top of their list is not solar. And I have documentation if you need that on that. But I would just like, the main thing I want to say is what seemed to be a real point that President Trump made during the time that he was on the campaign trail, was that he had traveled our country from one area to the other, and he was very saddened to see beautiful land that we have been given with so many solar panels, wind stuff. The land has just totally, probably will never be able to come back from all of it. And so he said he hated to see that all over the nation, so much of that. And it is, if you go in the Midwest, any of those areas, you'll see what it looks like. And that's why I think a lot of people who travel like to come to Craig, Colorado, because of the beauty, the natural beauty that is here with our wildlife. And that was one of the comments Trump had made also, was it just saddened him so much that the damage that was done to the wildlife, and damage that was, of course, he was referring to the birds and everything too. But he made those points, and I just would like to make that point too. Let's just be thankful for the beauty that we've been given and be good caretakers of it and have faith, and let that be our guide. That's all I need to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, you all. How are you?
Good. Good.
Good. My name is Ron Eplin. I live at 740 Yampa. I'd like to know, I don't think there has been ever an incident from storage, underground storage within our country or the world. I'd like to know if they've offered any sort of monetary amount yet to the county. And on a footnote, I think Kansas might know if wind power has ever paid for itself yet. That's all I have. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good day.
You too. You too.
Anybody else have any public comment? Okay. Move to general discussion. Again, I just was going to highlight a few of our employees that we've had for 10 or more years in the county. And February anniversaries, we do have Allison Smith, Sherrod Schonert, both with the Sheriff's Office, and Shane Kowchek. I'm sorry, read that wrong. Shane's 5 years, so we'll read that. But also our sheriff has been an employee of Moffat County or an elected official in Moffat County for 30 years. Highlight those. Any other general discussion?
Nope.
Okay. And we have a public hearing at 8:45. Do we have Road and Bridge here yet?
Nope.
Nope, hiding in the back. You have 4 items, probably not 5 minutes worth, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, for the, think we can do that in 4 minutes now, or? Okay, Dan Miller.
It all depends on how many questions we ask, right? It's on
That's
us.
up to you, yep. So I've got 3 bid recommendations here. The first one is for a elliptical dump box for, we'll put on one of our 10-wheelers. We got 2 bids, Industrial Welding Supply out of Sterling, bid $35,360, and Holman bid $75,827.80. We've made necessary comparisons, make sure this is what we want, and we recommend awarding the bid to Industrial Welding Supply of Sterling for $35,360, and that's installed.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and run through all 3 of them, and
Sure.
then we can do the motions one at a time?
Next, we received 1 qualified bid for our cattle guard iron this year. We had a couple that were submitted wrong or late, because we couldn't open. But it's Craig Steel here in town. They bid $28,238.40. That's for building the cattle guards and some extra iron that we'll need throughout the year. And our budget for that is $50,000. So I recommend we accept Craig Steel's bid. The last one is for the mag chloride. It went up 15 cents a gallon this year, which amounts to 14 and a half miles, I believe, that we're going to have to delete from the program this year. Just on a side note, since 2017, it's gone from 69 cents a gallon to $1.15. We've had to cut 59 miles of road. You know, we narrowed it up and lightened the application rates as much as we can. So just the budget hasn't moved and it's getting more expensive. So you're going to see less mag every year. But our bid was from GMCO out of Rifle at $1.15 per gallon. And so that's the only bid that we got. So I would like you to accept that bid from Jimco. Questions on any of those?
I don't.
I don't have any questions.
Yeah, we'll have to make some, probably have a discussion at some point about what road we're gonna eliminate this year. So I'm not gonna be happy.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion for the first one to approve the dump box to Industrial Welding Supply, Sterling, Colorado, for the amount of $35,360. Second.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Here, I'll make a motion to, on the cattle guards, Craig Steele, make a motion to award the bid for $28,238.40.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On the last one, on the mag chloride, I would make a motion to approve the one bid we received, GMCO out of Rifle, Colorado, at $1.15 a gallon. Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion?
That is wrapped up in their haul price too, right?
Yes,
Okay.
that's on the ground.
We're not having no extra charges because they're
Correct.
driving. That's all I have.
Any other questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
And that puts us squarely at 8:45. So let the record show that today's posted public hearing regarding the following: review of requested change to language in section 405.4 temporary use zoning regulation amendments. Also minor subdivision application for North Maybell minor subdivision S 2501. Subdivision exemption application for Ortega E 2501 and application for replat Giorgio Pinner for S 2502 have all been posted and advertised. The agenda items were distributed to adjacent property owners and posted on the county website. Once the public hearing has been declared, I will ask Candace Miller, Planning and Zoning Coordinator, to present to the BOCC the request as submitted. Once the presentation is complete, the commissioners may ask questions or make comments. I will then ask the audience if there's anyone who wants to testify either for or against. Any citizen of Moffett County may testify once the public hearing has been declared and all information has been presented. For those who want to testify, you'll be asked to approach the commissioners, state your name for the record, and you'll be given 3 minutes to present your testimony either for or against. Erin Miller will be the timekeeper today, and she will notify the BOCC and the speaker that 20 seconds remain before your time is up. No decision will be made during the public hearing. This is an opportunity for any of you to provide testimony in favor or in opposition to the proposed request. The commissioners have the option of asking questions or answering questions related to the topic during the hearing process. Once all testimony has been heard and the public hearing will be declared closed and we'll go back to regular session, I will then refer back to the board for discussion and a decision on said proposals. With that, I will claim the public hearing open and Candace Miller. Hello.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, item 1, so I presented to you the Planning Commission's recommended amendments to the zoning regulations. There was one requested change to some language surrounding section 405.4 for temporary use. So I have 3. Would you like me to read? So I have the current language as it reads today and the zoning, what was proposed, and then what that revision is. Do you want me to read all 3? I'm happy to do that.
I would like you to.
Okay,
Have it in the
perfect.
record.
Yep, absolutely. So the current language in section 405.4 says, upon application to the county planning department, a temporary use permit may be issued by the planning director for the listed temporary uses in each district. The permit will be approved for a specific period of time. You know what? That is not the current language. I apologize. I apologize. That is actually not the current language. So I can share that with you. The proposed, I'll send that to you guys each individually. The proposed temporary use, that language was proposed to say a temporary use permit may be issued by the planning director upon application to the planning department for a temporary use, for temporary uses allowed in each district. If the planning director determines that special conditions exist, which would warrant additional review, the application will undergo the appropriate approval process. A temporary permit will be granted for a specific duration based on the scope of the proposed project. Approved permits will require annual reporting, and only one extension may be granted due to external circumstances. Failure to cease the temporary use by the specified time will be considered a misdemeanor and subject to penalties under section 520.2 of this resolution. In the reading to the board, it was recommended to change the language, and this was the proposed change by the planning board. A temporary use permit may be issued by the planning director upon application to the county planning department for the temporary uses allowed in each district. If the planning director determines that special conditions exist which would warrant additional review, the application will undergo the appropriate approval process. An approved temporary use permit will only be issued for a specific time frame based on the duration of the proposed project. Approved permits must undergo a midway on-site inspection/review in addition to requiring annual reporting. Only one extension may be granted due to external circumstances. Failure to comply with the conditions of the approved permit may be cause for review and termination of said permit. Failure to cease the temporary use by the specified time will be considered a misdemeanor and is subject to penalties under section 420.2 of this resolution.
Okay.
And from the planning board's perspective, revising this language to allow to permit something for the length of a project, adding that additional language in there for a midway review and annual reporting allows us to kind of keep our finger on the pulse of that project and make sure that, they're providing us, updates on the project. And that we ensure that that project does not extend past the approved amount of time.
Mhm. And I think by changing this, I think some of the confusion's been with the normal, if we don't make these changes, they could put a campground there. They can, it doesn't have to be classified as man camp. They could go put Shadow Mountain #2 there. And according to our deal, we really don't have no say so.
Right.
They could put a permanent trailer park in there.
Right.
And it would fall right under our deal, where at least with this one, if they go this man camp way, we have a set date to finish. We have tons of checkpoints to make sure that it doesn't get out of control and it doesn't go beyond and make it look like that.
Right.
And so there's a difference, right? I think we could pull this and say, oh, we don't want to do no man camps, and then push the landowner into saying, well, okay, well, we'll be Shadow Mountain Part 2 then, because that's part of, we can
And
do that.
I'm glad that you said that because there is that, there are two different processes that an individual can go through. And by only allowing a man camp as a temporary use period, we're able to put more restrictions on that. Whereas if they went the alternate route, which is, subdividing or, rezoning and doing a trailer park or doing additional dwellings as a conditional use, those are things that the planning board would then recognize, through the process of determining special conditions which would exist, that if this is truly a main camp situation, that it would only be allowed to fall under a temporary use, which would have restrictions, and that we would, ensure that we are on top of that and, through that annual reporting and strict timeline. So.
And I appreciate you putting wanting that midway go.
Yeah.
I think it's important just to be able to have the power at halfway through that, I know we do an annual review, but the annual review, I don't know how that has the power that this midway is going to
Right.
have, right? That we just say, hey, it's not working. Sorry,
Yep.
So appreciate that.
And with that said, I will, so on the 25th, I will I've published in the paper again, to just notice that the resolution will be in front of you on the 25th for these amendments.
I was trying to find the original language and I don't have it in this email, but I think it's important to note too, that that these changes are made broadly across all of the different zoning uses that can be had zoning for a property.
Yep.
And so it's not specific to one item. It
Yeah.
allows us that regulatory timeframe.
Yeah, and I'll add the amendments, when originally read to you, the proposed amendments, seemed to be very long. There was repetitive, sections that carried over into each zone. Not every one of our zones has the identical permitted or conditional uses. So it did appear to be very lengthy. They were very minimal amendments. And really, this temporary use really only affects, ag, as it is the only zone that allows for additional dwellings, or additional dwellings as a temporary use. And so, but all the other ones were, it was across the board and very minimal, but did apply to, all of the zones in the county.
Thank you.
Mhm.
No other questions from the board? Okay, at this time, I would open it up for anyone who would like to testify for or against, to come up and state your name and comments. And Aaron will be our timekeeper.
My name is Kathy Keel at 4217 East Victory Way. I would have really liked for the original to have been read. And that even when I finish, if that would please be read, I think that's important. Another question that I have is I know, out of all respect, Mr. Bauer, with what you've said about it could be a trailer park, it could be all of the things that are listed. But my question is to you, in areas of agriculture that are rural areas where we don't have, you would not have access for these man camps for water and for sewage removal, other than bringing in water. There's no natural water. There's all of these things would be brought in. That being said, how could we have a trailer park put out there? Would the county allow a trailer park to come in, another Shadow Mountain or another one of these different things that you've just spoke of, without running water and without any sewage?
You're talking about, well, yeah, they would have to have those things.
Yeah, and that is not possible at this time in some of the agriculture ground and areas that these man camps could come into with their bringing in water and taking out sewage. So when we compare it to, okay, you just need to be happy with the idea of the man camp because you could be faced with a trailer park. That doesn't really resonate too well with me.
Well, so let me clarify.
Okay,
So it could
please.
be Shadow Mountain. You could run water and sewer there, right? It costs money, but you could do it, right? It's not an impossibility, I don't believe, to get there. But you don't, at KOA campground, you do not need to have running water and sewer, right?
Okay.
So one of those two options could take place under those old ones. That's what I'm saying. So would you rather have a KOA part 2? Than that, because they don't have to have those things fall out. All I'm saying is this has an end date where the other ones do not have an end date. Okay, so if you do a KOA campground, there is no end date to that. That's a business that they rezone it. There's no reason we wouldn't rezone it. There's no thing in there. That's all I'm saying. That's my only
Yeah,
point, is that this has an end date. The other one does. No, you're okay. The other one does not have an end date. That's all I'm saying. I'm not telling you to be happy with one or the other. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is by doing this, there is an end date on it. By doing anything else, there is no end date. That's the main point there.
Okay, I still, you know that we've been communicating with you. We've made our concerns and we brought them up to you. We've given questions to you, asked questions, and thank you for responding to those questions. But we also we had some more questions that we asked and we have sent in.
She
that we
emailed
haven't-
them yesterday.
Yeah,
And so I did not get to them back.
Right.
I was out of town, but I will email her back on those directions. Yes.
but in doing so, there was still a lot of questions that we have, as you know.
Mhm.
And I really would like the opportunity to sit down with Candace and to speak to her and to have her to explain some of these things to me that I really, truly don't understand. Just like the other part wasn't read to us today, there's parts of the other that I am still, that don't balance out to me.
Mhm.
I know you guys, you said you've had 4 years that this has been in the planning for 4 years. And that's what you wrote in your,
In the
yes,
changes.
the changes
Yes, yes.
have been. And then also you, that's been stated that there's no rush at this time for any of that, that it just happened to fall at the time that you finished at the first of the year here. So with that being said, I ask please to extend this time past the 25th. Give us a chance to really look at it. Plus, during that time of doing this, you've got citizens out here that will be more knowledgeable of what's going on in our county, learn the process of it all, and to be able to ask those questions and have you to answer it. And I know that's really what you want. You don't want us to say, well, this wasn't fair and why did they do that instead of this. You want us to be knowledgeable in it. And if it took you guys 4 years, it's going to take us a little bit too. So can we please extend that time a little longer so you can get those answers to us and we can respond before it is a set and done deal?
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah, we will definitely hear those things, I think. I don't believe we can make a decision to extend it right at this moment, but I believe you can sit down with Candace, right? And talk with her, and I will get those questions answered to you today or tomorrow. So
okay.
then we can
But
start
would you
that.
please think of the extension because,
Okay.
you know, there's a lot here for us that aren't
I agree.
faced with it all the time
I
to
agree.
do it. And we just respectfully ask that you do that for us. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Is there anyone else who would like to testify for or against? Okay, one more time on this one. Anyone like to testify for or against the proposed changes? Do we want to go in and out of each?
Yeah, I don't know that we have to approve this because it's coming in a resolution. This is just to let public know what the changes were, right?
This is kind of getting your approval on this requested change. So just the language specific to this one section that was requested in the previous meeting. So if you guys are okay, like I would like to know, and then that's what's going to be in the resolution that I would present to you.
Is the
For final
document
approval.
that's in the drive, is that the original language?
Yes. Are you talking about the,
Can you verify that this is the original language for the temporary uses so it can be read into the record? Or is that the first change?
that's the first change. It's on the, it's in the amendments on.
Okay. Where is it on the county site?
Planning office, zoning resolution. It's broken down in each section. Zoning regulations. Wait, no, there you go. Section 400.
454. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll read that in. So just for the record, the original language on section 405.4 temporary uses. Upon application to the county planning department, a temporary use permit may be issued by the planning director for the listed temporary uses in each district for the specified periods of time unless, in the opinion of the planning director, special conditions exist that would warrant further review and approval by the planning commission and/or the board of county commissioners. Such permits shall be valid only for the period of time specified, and only 2 renewals of the temporary use permit may be granted. Failure to terminate such temporary use by the specified time shall be considered a misdemeanor and is punishable under section 520.2 of this resolution.
So for the record, the biggest changes to this, just so it's clear, is that we are going from, they could update it 2 times to now every year they have to be under review. So the old one allowed them to do those things. We could extend it 2 times, but there was no review process. Now we're saying you can do this, but there's going to be way more stricter guidelines. There's going to be an annual review, and halfway through, if it's a 5-year program, at 2.5 years, we're going to come in and we're going to review everything once again. So there's way more checks and balances than what the old one was. The old one was just saying, you get 2 upgrades and, we'll kind of help you out when we can. But this one's putting more restrictions on the temporary use. So
Yeah, the other
Just for
change
clarification.
too is allows for a more definite time. So there's a scope of work that's associated with a temporary permit, and that's what defines the timing. And there's only one opportunity for an extension, and that's extenuating circumstances. So
thank you. So I don't know that you need a motion on this, so that's what my question would be.
I mean,
I think we need to approve the change in the document.
Yeah.
We did have a motion to accept the changes as presented at the last meeting, and then we had asked for a change in between.
whatever you think is appropriate. If everyone is okay with that language, that's what
Mhm.
that you'll see. So.
So then, we're still in public hearing anyway, so it don't matter.
Okay.
Come out, right?
Yes. So if there's nothing further, we'll go ahead and come out of the public hearing on this particular item.
Okay, can I just stay here?
Yeah.
That's, yeah. Okay. What does the board want to do?
So, I guess I'll make a motion for the revised language to amendment section 405.4 that will be put into a resolution at next meeting for us to approve. I guess.
The full resolution, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, because this motion, well, let me see if I have a second on this one.
You did.
Okay, we did get a second, okay.
Yeah, you got us.
Okay, and so I guess that's the whole thing that we're making a motion on a change that's going to be presented again. That was my confusion, I guess, is that I don't know that we actually need to make a motion on this. You just need consensus that,
Yes,
yeah, that we're
correct.
not. But we already have a motion on the table, so I
Okay.
don't think we've heard anything.
And a second.
Yeah,
And
so.
any further discussion? Okay. All in favor of the approval?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. So we'll go back into public hearing to hear minor subdivision application for North Maybell Minor Subdivision S2501. I don't believe I need to restate all of the requirements here. We'll ask Candace to update us, and then we will have the opportunity for testimony for or against, stating your name, and you'll have 3 minutes, which again, Aaron will be our timekeeper on that. No decisions will be made in the public hearing, and I will now declare that open.
So in front of you, I've provided you the application, the summary, as well as the plat. The application S2401 North Maybell Minor Subdivision.
25, S2501.
I'm sorry, 2501. That applicant is Paul Gowdy. Currently has a parcel in Maybell that he is interested in subdividing into 4 5.830 acre lots. Lot 1, as it exists on that parcel, has a residence. All of the lots have access off of County Road 19. So there were no issues there. I've worked with Paul. He's been working with Will Myers on septic. And the board reviewed this application Tuesday last week. Nobody had any concerns, and made the recommendation to approve, no stipulations.
Is Paul here tonight?
Yeah, he's right.
You can come up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My only, I guess, question would be, and this is the question I ask for every subdivision because I think it's so important, is, do these have wells on them?
Not yet.
So we know that there's gonna be a process
Yep.
to get that well.
Yeah.
It's not, might be, we're
I
2 years, we're 2 years deep into this thing thinking it was gonna be done in a year and we might be another year. I don't know.
Right.
Everything's good with
Yep.
that?
We're aware of it.
Okay, perfect. That's my biggest concern. Yeah.
I think the only question I would ask is, at the planning and zoning meeting, that was stated that these would all be on septic, but they are directly across from the Maybell sewer plant. Is there a reason that
That's correct.
they
too.
wouldn't be?
Cost wise, we haven't weighed either of them out yet. Will believes we probably do septic for less expensive than hooking to the sewer, although we'd like to hook them to the sewer. I don't know how you guys feel budget wise about doing that, maybe helping us out with some pipe. I don't know.
So
We're
the
just-
tying into the sewer is the individual tap fees for each one, which is 32,
Which is
20
real close
almost
to the same price we can do it right on.
$2,900, plus an easement that he would need to gain access to tap in because that is on an adjacent, the property across the street. So
Right.
there's
yeah.
some complexities
Private
to
property
that.
across 19.
Yep.
So
Gotcha.
we'd have to have an easement through there. And then, of course, all the pipe. The expense, I don't believe is going to work out
Yeah,
where we,
yeah.
I mean, we'd love to do it for the sewer in Maybell, but you know,
Yeah. Makes
it's a
sense.
money thing. Plus having Will out there for the soils test, it'll work on that place to do septics.
Yep.
The same as it would hook into the sewer.
Yeah, for
So-
sure.
Well, I'll make sure that if it, when the time comes, if they make the decision that maybe they do want to go the other way, we'll get Roy involved and make sure that
Yeah,
for sure.
we
See what we
can-
I talked a little bit
Yeah.
to Roy already about it, but
Definitely. It's good. Gotta do what's best for you.
yep.
Yep. Get it.
Did you have any other questions?
You guys are building homes on those, right?
Yeah,
Working towards that?
yep.
Okay. So
The
if you don't
plan.
have anything
Increase
else to add,
population.
we will, we will open this up to testimony, either for or against the Maybell minor subdivision S-2501. Yeah, just getting closer to the microphones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you. guys.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
We're done.
For now.
For a minute, yeah. So if anyone in the audience would like to testify for or against the North Maybell Minor Subdivision S-2501, now is your opportunity to do so. One more time, anyone who would like to testify, please come forward. Hearing none, I will then close this public hearing and refer back to the board.
Yeah.
Seemed like there's no concern to stipulation, so.
Ready?
I am.
All right. Make a motion to approve application S-2501 North Maybell Minor Subdivision.
Second?
Okay. I have a motion and a second for approval. Just in further discussion, I think I would say if there is any opportunity for that to tie into the sewer, we don't have any like urban development zone or anything like that out in Maybell, but the growth of that community kind of depends on sharing the cost of the infrastructure that's in place.
Preliminary.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for noting that this is preliminary, that it has to go through too. Thank you very much.
Maybell's booming.
Maybell is,
Boom.
but it has to get built and has to get sold and has to get inhabited, but it's good to see some growth.
Yep.
So, good. All right. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. And then I will put us back into public hearing for subdivision exemption application Ortega E 2501 with the same stated rules. Candace Miller, do you want Jesus to join you? He is here.
Oh, I didn't notice he was here.
Yep.
Yes, come on up.
Somebody got to answer the hard questions.
Yeah. So we have application E-2501. This is for an exemption. Jesus has 35 acres. This exemption will exempt off 15 acres. I have the plat attached for your review. No concerns in our meeting with the BOCC or with the planning board. We actually had a neighbor here to express her support and appreciation for Jesus and his willingness to work through some previous things. And so the board did not have any concerns. We have discussed the well and obviously, you know, the intent with the exemption is to sell that 15-acre parcel. He will have somebody building on that 15-acre parcel. We did not have any other concerns. It has access along Johnson View Court. And I think that was it.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioners?
I will add, there's not been an exemption on this parcel, and this is his one and only exemption for the.
Correct. Okay, thank you. All right, I will now open it up for anyone who would like to testify for or against.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay.
Yep, I already asked.
Thank you,
Thanks.
guys. Thank you.
And again, anyone who would like to testify for or against this application?
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
My name is John Cromer. I live at 1235 County Road 78. I also own 1240 County Road 78. My concern is I moved out to that property for the space. And on this subdivision or this breakdown, it puts a whole row of houses on my southern view. And it just, I can't see buying that kind of property and then subdividing inside of a subdivision. Because I have mine's lots 5 and 6 of migration acres.
We have a corner of 6 in this plat. You'll have to.
On this side,
come
there
back.
are 2 that were also subdivided into which parcels? Wait, no.
But that's all I have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, anyone else like an opportunity to testify for or against? Okay. I will declare this hearing closed and refer back to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion. Totally understand the concerns. Same time, we have rule. If you have little rules, you can't break, if they are following the rules, I don't know how we say no to it. So that's the hard part for sure. So I'll make a motion to approve E 2501.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I will just say we did have quite a bit of discussion on this when it originally came out, and I think that Mr. Ortega has done some mitigation to those concerns to bring it back. You might. Nobody can hear you.
Our initial applications were, was a minor subdivision. And so this was a big change from what the initial application was. There was some concern from all of the adjacents. They've had some conversations amongst themselves. And this was the solution was this one-time exemption, so that there would be no further split of the property. So just the
Thank
one.
you.
Yeah.
With one house.
Okay. Thank you.
So this one here was, yeah, one existing residence and then building another one. Yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
Yeah, his house is built up at like the top of his property, and then the next one will be up to the top also, so it's not really across from anybody. So they've definitely tweaked how he did it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. And then we'll go back into public hearing, right, for application for replat of Georgiou Penner S 2502. Again, I'll ask Candace Miller to update us, and then we will go to testimony.
This application is for replat. The existing plat for these two parcels had those parcels at 35 and 5 acres. The replat adjusting that property line switches those parcels to 10.6 acres on Lot 1C, and Lot 1D then becomes 29.32 acres. The board reviewed, nobody had any concerns. It was really just moving that property line to allow 1C to become a little bit larger.
I know there's a bunch of Johnson subdivisions, whatever. This is different than where Jesus is, or
Yes.
where's this one at?
Let's see
It's
here.
not, is it north? Is it out east where,
That is a good question.
are they here?
I don't think
No.
so.
Okay.
I don't see.
What's the county road accessing the property?
So that's, it's 13 to 80, 18S to County Road 20 up East Johnson Loop. So, Johnson Loop to Johnson Road. So it's up in that same subdivision area.
But further north.
Yes.
Questions? And I'm sorry, did you recap what the planning commission's recommendation was?
To approve. I don't think we had no concerns. I'll add, so we have 2 parcel owners involved in that, so that's why you see these 2 names. The original subdivision that was done by the, it was a Tall T is what the name of that was, that subdivided, that did this division that you see, the 5 acre and 35 acre, which now belong to the daughter of the original divider of that property. So that's the Tana Giorgio. And then Thomas Pinner owns what was the 5 acre, which will now be the 10.68 acres.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I will now open it up for anyone who would like to testify for or against the application for replat as presented. Going once, going twice. One last opportunity. Anyone who would like to testify for or against this application for replat? Okay. Seeing no one come forward, I will close this public hearing and refer back to my fellow commissioners.
Chair, I make a motion to approve replat application S-25-02. George, you and Penner.
Second.
Motion in a second. Any further discussion?
No.
Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You have a vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, motion carries. And I believe that is everything on our agenda for today. We will reconvene on February 25th at 8:30 a.m. We're now adjourned.